So the topic of today's sermon is couldn't resist. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a king who had a court. All of a sudden, out of the blue, they heard a loud scream and then a crash. And when the king looked down into the court, he saw a turtle, a sea turtle, laying in the middle of his court with his back cracked and dead. All the people were screaming and running around, where'd this turtle come from? Because the king's kingdom was in the mountains. So it was very weird. Well, the advisor, he asked the advisor, "Advisor, what happened? What happened? Where did this come from?" And the advisor told a story. He says, "King, what it seems like to me was this. That turtle lived in the sea, and the turtle came up on the land and saw some birds, and said to the birds," they were talking and said, "Oh, they were having fun and being friendly." Then the bird says, "Oh, we need to go to our home in the mountains." And the turtle says, "Oh, I wish I could go too." And the bird says, "Yeah, we can take you. We have a method." He said, "What's your method?" He said, "Well, you have to promise to follow one rule. If you follow the rule, we can take you. If not, we're not going to do it." Turtle says, "Oh, I want to go. I want to go. I promise. I promise." And then they said, "Okay, see that stick over there? We're going to grab one side each and we're going to fly you there. All you have to do is bite the stick and not let go. If you can keep your mouth closed and not open your mouth, we can take you to the mountain home." And the turtle says, "That's easy. It's only like a 10-minute flight. I can do that." And so he bit the stick and they flew him to the mountains. Well, along the way, as they were getting closer to the mountains, they passed a little town in the edge of the kingdom. These little kids were playing, and one little kid looked up in the air and says, "Hey, what is that? Do you guys see that?" And they looked up and they saw two birds carrying a stick and a turtle hanging in the middle. And they started laughing. "Look at that silly turtle. He's so weird. Look at him. He thinks he can fly. What is he doing? Maybe there's a this, maybe there's a that." And they started laughing and teasing him. That pissed the turtle off. It's like, "You guys don't know what you're talking about. What you're saying is not true. How can you accuse me of these things?" And the turtle was so mad that he couldn't help it. He opened his mouth and says, "You stupid little..." But right when he couldn't even finish his sentence, he fell to the ground, smashed into a table, and died. And the advisor says, "See, King, that's what happens when you can't control your mouth. When you talk too much, when you say things you shouldn't say, this is what happens. The suffering comes to us." And so I guess the question usually says, what's the moral of this story? There's so many morals that we can take. The one moral that I want to share is that when we feel angry, when we feel like something's wrong or something's not right, our first impulse is, "I have to fix it. That's not true. I have to. And we forget to think about the consequence. We never think about the consequence. We think about the present. "You said this about me. It's not true. You treated me unfairly. I need to tell you." But we never think about the consequence. And the consequence is what comes to you afterwards. Sometimes it's better to lose than to win. Because when you win, there might be a penalty that comes with it. It makes me think of all these stories that we see on social media, right? For example, let's say that you're on a plane and you're feeling scared and you're feeling, frustrated and you want to get off the plane. And so you start yelling and screaming and hitting and no one understands you. But they always say the same thing. Yelling and screaming is not going to get you off the plane faster. In fact, it's going to get you arrested. You might be the last person to get off the plane and then you get arrested. What good is that? Many times we see in the news people driving and someone cuts you off, driving too slow, and you can't help it. You get so mad, you have to teach them a lesson. And what happens? Thousands and thousands of dollars in car damage. Those are what we call consequences. Now, if a smart person thinks about it, They won't think about what they want to do. They'll think about, what do I want to do? I want to say this, I want to do this. Okay, how much value does that have? 16. If I do this, what's the consequence? How much value does that have? Negative $4,000. I get to slap them. I pay $4,000 and go to jail. That doesn't look like a good trade. And then they won't do it. One of the cases that made me really think about this was a long time ago, a girl got abused in a really bad way, and her brother couldn't handle it. He thought it was too wrong, he was too evil. So he went and killed the person who did it. After he killed them, he got arrested and he went to jail. Many people were talking about how the girl was so unlucky, the man was so evil, and the brother was a hero. But one thing that they forgot to mention was, who's going to take care of the sister now? That man hurt the girl. The girl has been hurt. But by you killing him, you satisfied your anger. But now you're in jail. And so now the sister has an attacker who's dead, the pain of being attacked, and now a brother who's in jail, maybe forever. How did that help? Wouldn't it have been better to have lived and helped take care of her and support her instead? These are the things that we're talking about. Consequences. Don't allow your emotions to take over you. Control yourself by thinking of the consequences.